he has the right to speak. I mean, you don't get to just sit there and go after a department head meeting after meeting after meeting and expect that the department head has to sit there and not ever respond to it. That's crazy. And the McLean County Sheriff. Can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Martin, second by member Went. Any questions or comments? Member Chung.
Thank you, Chairman Erickson. I just wanted to ask Sheriff Sandage, I guess, how, because again, I'm new here, so I think I'm going to keep saying that so much today. Is this a sort of common practice for to have a school resource officer in different schools? Do you have them in any other school districts around McLean County?
This is the only one we have. This is the only school that is technically in our jurisdiction outside any city limits. And this agreement's been in place for several years, and it's very beneficial for not only us, but also the student.
Any other questions or comments of the sheriff? Member Chung.
Thank you, Chairman Erickson. And thank you, Sheriff Sandage, for calling me this morning. It was right when my children were about to start school, so it was not really the greatest time to answer the phone, but I hope you can understand that I actually would like to ask my questions publicly. There has been some talk that there have been more positive COVID cases at the jail. I do know back in August, you came, I think it was in August, that you came to Health Committee then, and you addressed the sort of COVID outbreak that had been happening at the jail then. I want to say that you said that there was a sort of testing protocol that had been happening. Maybe it was like every 5 days or a week, everybody was being tested until there were no more positive cases at the facility. Are you still doing that right now?
We are not. We did that. We tested every 5 days until we had 0 cases. In late November, we had 2 positive cases. They were pretty much isolated to one cell block with no exposure to the rest of the facility. So we did not test the rest of the facility. Since that time, we have had 0, and currently we have 0 cases of COVID in the jail.
Thank you for that. And are there any positive cases, I guess, right now amongst jail staff right now?
We have 0 cases in the facility.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. And it's not to say, and you have to, I guess you have to also just kind of understand that as elected county board members, we are here to kind of, it's nothing to say that when we ask questions that it's to attack any staff or anything. We just want to get answers. So, and at least that's just how I operate. So I hope you understand that we're going to get to know each other since I'm new here on this committee. But that is all I'm looking for, is that by asking questions, I'm in no way trying to say that nobody is doing a good job. I am totally 100%, I commend everybody the job that they're doing. But you have to understand that, it's my job to answer these questions, ask these questions. So I appreciate.
I understand, and it's my job to stand up for my staff and do the right thing and make sure that this situation isn't politicized, that it's.
And then also one other question: you were holding new bookings? You were holding them for 14 days. Are you still doing that then too now?
Correct. Anybody that's brought into the facility is quarantined for 14 days before they're put in general population.
Okay. And then they're never given a COVID test, though, at any point in their booking?
Not unless they exhibit symptoms.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Chairman Erickson. I also thought for a second that you deputized yourself. That made me laugh, but now I realize that you had the same name. Anyway, I also want to just get back to about the question of testing. I know you said you're not testing people at the jail right now. Is there any sort of recommendation for your jail staff to go get tested regularly at all, especially since they are coming into contact with a close-knit sort of population where things like that can spread?
We leave that up to them. We do employee screening every shift. Every day they come to work, they're screened for temperature as well as health questions. And We have caught some cases right there before they got into the facility through our screening. So it's been very effective. Our staff knows that they can go get tested anytime, but typically they choose not to unless they have symptoms.
Okay, thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions of Sheriff Sandage? Member Chung.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Erickson, and hi, Sheriff Sandage. My question, I guess, is now that we have entered into this new vaccination group 1B, I know that correctional staff is involved in this, I guess, in this group. And I'd seen some talk about possibly inmates being in this group as well. And I can't seem to find any more information about it. So I was wondering if you were willing to share, I guess, two things. Number one, how is your staff doing in terms of vaccinating, getting vaccines? And I guess number two, if you have plans for vaccinating the population. And I guess that's it. So thank you.
Well, that's a fair question. As far as what phase the inmates will be vaccinated in, I believe it was Governor Pritzker that chose that Illinois Department of Corrections inmates would be vaccinated in 1B. Technically, I think they're should be in 1C, and that's the phase that we will look at vaccinating in. Inmates, much like employees, we cannot make them take the vaccination, but we will make it available for all that do want it.
And I guess, do you have an idea of like the percentage of your staff that have possibly maybe gone to get vaccinated? And I don't know, I know that you're trying to encourage them, and maybe, I don't know if there's any sort of incentivizing, but I know that this is has been a big concern throughout the entire nation, of people living in these sort of congregate settings, and since you are quarantining inmates when they come in for 14 days, that they're not the ones that are bringing in. It's of course the staff that could be possibly bringing in. But I know that you have these protocols in place for people not coming into work if they're sick, and to get tested if they don't feel well. But of course, to me, that seems like if that's the point of it possibly getting into the population. So I guess whatever you and your other staff can do to sort of encourage everybody to get it, I guess I hope that you can. And I also want to say, I really do only ask fair questions. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, we cannot make the vaccination mandatory. We have encouraged staff and let them know when the signups and the dates are, and then we leave it in their hands. But again, once phase 1C comes along and inmates are eligible, we will make that available to all of them.
Any questions of the sheriff about the report? Member Chung.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Erickson. Sheriff Sandage, I guess I just have a question, because again, I'm new here to this committee. One of the public comments that I had received in my inbox over the past week, and I think it was actually read by Ms. Morlock, they mentioned that there had some, I guess, different sort of statistics, I guess, than what we are provided in our report. So, it said here, I have this email here, 100 inmates pre-trial being held in jail for drug offenses, 7 being held pre-trial on misdemeanors, 56 being held for felonies related to property. I guess I'm just wondering the history of like what you decide to put in the report, and I guess if there's any reason why you see maybe we should or should not get this other sort of information.
I have no objection to that information being released. We just typically provide the numbers and not the breakdown. But I'd be happy to get you those numbers if you'd like.
Thank you. I guess I don't know if the chairman needs to do that, or we just ask, or I mean, I would be interested in seeing that from month to month. I don't know if that puts a huge amount of extra work on you. I mean, I guess since these numbers are here and were provided to this person in the email, I guess hopefully it would not be too much extra work for us to get it. But I would be interested in possibly seeing that in your monthly report. Thank you.
And those are things we also look at with Criminal Justice Coordinating Council to make sure that we're using the jail to the best of its ability.
Well, why don't we try this? I mean, could you get that report to member Chung individually,
Sure.
for the next meeting? And then if you want to bring it up, Member Chung, at the next meeting, say this report is the best thing I've ever seen, and I want to make sure it's in the Justice Committee packet every month, and bring it up again. You want to try that? Member Chung, is that okay?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Sheriff Sandage.
You're welcome.
Member Chung.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess my question about that is that do you foresee any sort of point of being able to get the rest of that at any other point down the road? Is that something that the sheriffs in all the other counties, I mean, again, it sounds like something that we're not the only ones stuck with this, in this position.
No, we're
So
not. And that's a good question. That's still up to debate whether we can. I got with Mr. Knapp and Mr. Spanos, and we had talked about possibly adding a line in there that would specify that we could go after the remainder. The state did not want that in the contract. So it's really sad. They're just throwing their troubles down to the local level, and we're kind of stuck with it.
I follow up on that. Is that all right? Thank you. I guess my other question is, so, I mean, yeah, I looked at this when the letter was given on the 17th of December, and then you had to send something back where I read it earlier. It was something within like a week or so.
It was sent on the 17th. We didn't receive it till the 20th.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
you had like about a week or so to
Yes.
respond to that. So, since it seems like it was that they're, what am I trying to say? Trying to make you respond quickly. Will they be paying it that quickly? I guess is my question.
They are saying that between 60 and 90 days.
Okay.
The aggravating thing about not getting that till December 20th was they had all those facts and figures in August, and they sat on it till basically the last week of the year. So
Okay, well, thank you so much for that, and I hope that, you can try and get more at some point in the future.
Go ahead.
Can I ask my questions now to the sheriff?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't here last month, but I wanted to ask how, I know that back in what is time anymore these days? Back in the fall, you were about to implement the mail guard program. I guess I was just wondering how that is going, or is it like all happening? I just was wondering the
we
status.
had went back to receiving mail in the facility because the company that was doing it changed vendors as far as off-site vendors for the mail to go to. While we had that mail coming back to our facility, one of our clerks that opens the mail opened some mail that was full of methamphetamine that got all over her. She had to be transported to the emergency room, which is, as I said before, an example of why we went to something like this. The bugs have been worked out, and I believe we are back to off-site mail again.
I guess, since the sort of possibility of contraband being sent in the mail, I guess, is a thing. What the clerks that do open it up, like, do they have any sort of like protective gear that they wear when they open up the mail then?
Typically, no.
Okay. And let's see, I guess another question I had, if that's okay. I just wanted to know how COVID is doing at the jail. Numbers are way down here in the county throughout, so I'm just assuming that's probably the case as well at the jail.
Currently we have 0 COVID cases in the jail.
And then do you, and I know that you had relaxed some restrictions, and I know that's kind of possibly under like DOC and whatever, like, are you seeing any sort of chance to sort of loosen restrictions anymore within the jail, like having more open sort of time?
At this point, since we're literally less than a week with 0 cases,
Yep.
We haven't.
Okay.
We will keep an eye on it, but we want to make sure that we're in safe ground.
And I guess my last question is, so I kind of just want to know a little bit about some of the things that happen at the jail, like how say an inmate wanted to file a grievance, like what would they have, what do they have to do to kind of be able to do that?
They can file it on the tablets, or they can file it on a piece of paper.
Okay. And then, so if they file it on the tablets, there's a sort of paper trail, I guess one would say, right? If they do that on the tablets, then it's like electronically.
There's
like-
also a paper trail if
with-
they fill it out.
with the
on
paper as well?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you so much, Sheriff
Mhm.
Sandage.
Member Chung?
But I just have a question about COVID cases in the jail. So there's no COVID right now in the jail, or
Correct.
how's? And then I know that last month you told me that you were not thinking of lifting any restrictions at that point. Have you considered that at all now this month?
We have went back to our in-house programming as far as programs for the inmates. That had been stopped because you had inmates from different housing areas coming together. Now we're doing smaller groups, but they are able to do their programming now.
So are they, is it still 18 hours that they're still in their cells?
Now, that gentleman had a lot of false information there, but no, it varies, but no, it's not.
So does it vary, I'm sorry, so does it vary from day to day, or does it like depending on what programs you have available, or?
Depends on programming, it depends on behavior, and it depends on the hours of the day and what's going on within the facility.
Okay. All right. I guess I have one more question, if that's all right. Is that okay? Thank you. I know, I'm just such a pain in the butt. Anyway, so my question, because I have been in contact with some people who have loved ones in the jail, and my question is, what is your protocol, I guess, if a inmate says that they might be feeling suicidal, or do you have like certain things that you put into place if that happens?
Absolutely. Our jail counselors talk with them, do an assessment, and they have a whole program for it.
Okay. Do you know who I could I possibly talk to somebody more about that just to get more information?
Yeah, it would be Jackie Mathias.
Okay, great.
And again, you're welcome to come to her anytime.
I know. So thank you so much.
Meeting after meeting after meeting.
Asking questions of department heads is not an attack. You may not like the question, but it is not an attack.